Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Splatt. Today is video number 4 in our series of 20 previewing the 2012-2013 English Premier League season. And today we are talking about Everton. So the Toffees come into this season having finished 7th with a total of 56 points. The previous season, 2010-2011, they had finished 7th as well with 54 points. So slight improvement from Everton there. David Moyes has now been in charge for 10 years and they come into this season looking to finish probably 7th again. There hasn't been much progression at Everton. The point is that it's quite hard for them to progress at all, given that nobody will buy the club off Bill Kenwright. He's trying to sell this club off so that they can get some sort of investment. You know, ideally they'd like sort of Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain level investment. But even just someone with a bit of money, I'm sure, would be appreciated. Despite that, David Moyes continues to keep this side mostly in the top half of the table. They're certainly very difficult to beat, and yes, let's take a look at who they have brought in. As things stand, Everton haven't had too much transfer activity, which isn't to be unexpected. Two Stevens have arrived. Stephen Naismith, the forward from Rangers, has joined the club. He joined on a free, of course. Rangers up in Scotland with all their financial difficulties means that it's been easy for a couple of clubs to pinch players. And they have taken on the Scotland international. The 25-year-old is apparently very, very excited about appearing for the Toffees. So there you go, Naismith arrives, but so too has an old face, Stephen Pienaar. He's arrived back at the club for a reported £4.5 million. Of course, Pienaar left the club and joined Harry Redknapp's Tottenham, or what was Harry Redknapp's Tottenham at the time, and then proceeded to just not play, and just never able to nail down a spot in the team at all. So now he's back at Everton, sort of where he belongs, really. I mean, he was back there on loan in the second half of last season and looked fantastic, and I'm sure Everton will be hoping that this time he sticks around for good. And I'm sure he will. I think, Pienaar understands he's very much valued at Everton, and I'm sure, the Evertonians will be glad to have him back. However, they have had to say goodbye to an old favourite, Tim Cahill, who, after 8 years of loyal service at the club, has gone to join the New York Red Bulls over in Major League Soccer in the United States of America. Cahill, who's 32, made the choice to move to that league and just keep playing so that he could keep playing the World Cup. He basically, he sort of knew it was time for him to move on from Everton. He was saying in an interview that he wanted to try a different experience while he still could. At 32, he's still, got a couple of good years left in him, and he always said he'd never play for another Premier League club. So credit to him. He's gone over to the MLS to give it a crack, choosing not to come to the A-League, funnily enough, because he feels that going to a league like the MLS will offer him a better chance in terms of playing in the World Cup. And I happen to agree with him. The standard of football in America is a bit better than over here in Oz. But, hopefully one day, in a couple of years, we'll see Timmy down here. Anyway, Everton. So, they have lost the talismanic Cahill, who pretty much just seemed to score against Everton and score against Liverpool and Manchester United, and that was about it. Oh, Chelsea sometimes as well. Big teams. And so he will be a big loss for them. However, I don't think he's one that they're going to miss particularly. I mean, he was missing for parts of last season, not because he was injured or anything. He just wasn't playing up to his usual standards. And when you look at Everton's squad, they have got a few fairly good options. Of course, the big arrival in January of Nikita Jelavic, also from Rangers, proved to be a turning point. He ended up being their top scorer, despite being only there for half the season, getting 9 goals in the Premier League and 11 overall. So, getting a full season out of him, he does look a very exciting prospect. So, Everton might finally have a striker who can score goals, which is just incredible for them. If he can stay fit, that would be the trifactor. So we'll have to wait and see, but signs are promising from the Croat at the moment. They've still got a very strong defence. The likes of Baines and Heitinger and Jagielka have all seemed to be sticking around. Seamus Coleman also there. Phil Neville, the captain, who does a good job here and there. They have got a very good, strong defensive base, and obviously Tim Howard in front of them. They're looking at, I reckon, more of the same from those players. It's going to be interesting to see how players like Rodwell and Darren Gibson, who also arrived mid-season, do this season, because Everton have looked a little weak in the midfield in some games. I mean, admittedly, there were games where they were fantastic, like the 4-4 draw with Manchester United, for example, was some absolutely fantastic games, fantastic performances in that game and in other games. But I just feel that, other times they went missing, and sometimes they relied on Leon Osman a bit too much, because Osman had an absolute blinder of a season, I thought, particularly in the second half. He just seemed to be popping up with good performances all over the place, and they need more of their players to do that. And I'm sure they will. I could see Everton sort of... I don't see them dropping off, certainly. Whether they can finish 7th again, it's going to be tricky. Obviously, they finished above their crosstown rivals Liverpool last season, which is pretty much like winning the title, I guess, for Everton. Finish above Liverpool, that's what they want. They finished a good 4 points clear of them, so, thumbs up. And I'm pretty sure that was despite losing both derbies, so that's quite an achievement, really, considering you gave them a 6-point head start. However, I'm not sure it'll happen again this season. I've got a feeling Liverpool are going to pull their act together a little bit and do better, which obviously is bad news for Everton fans. I think they will finish above Everton, not by much. I think Everton are probably looking at an 8th place finish. Maybe, they could get 7th or 6th if they're particularly good, but I don't think you're going to see them finish lower than 9th or 10th. I mean, this is a very strong, good, robust side that's hard to break down. Nobody likes going to Goodison Park. It's a tough ground to play at, and people generally don't like Everton visiting them because, they can really make you work for the points. This is a very strong team with a very good manager in David Moyes, and it'll be a case of just wait and see what happens to them. If they can start the season with actually winning a few games. Everton just always start so poorly and then always finish so strongly. If they could just start as they finish and just play really well from the start, then we could see them challenging for Europa League spots, or say it quietly under your breath, maybe the Champions League too. But that seems unlikely, I would say, at this point. So I'm going to say more of the same from Everton in the coming year. Not that that's a bad thing, mind. The fact you've got to make a lot of advancements to stay still in the Premier League, and I think Everton are doing that at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if they got in 1 or 2 other players before the end of the transfer window. Obviously, players that won't cost too much and hopefully on a free, but we shall have to wait and see. Okay, so that's it for the Everton preview. Tomorrow we will be talking Fulham, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Until then, that's all from me, so bye-bye.